Well, remodeling is making a sort of a resurgence in the North Texas area. I'm assuming, hopefully it's doing it around the country as we sort of, we think we're kind of coming out of COVID, but we're not 100% sure we're coming out of COVID. But the bottom line is, in March and when all this started in early spring, people were not allowing us in their houses. They were canceling projects for good reason. And now we're sort of getting back on track with it. And so I decided that it would be time to talk to a friend of ours, a friend of the show, Bruce Graff with Graff Developments. He is a big time Dallas remodeling contractor. Mr. Graff, how are you this morning?
I am doing excellent, sir.
That's very good. That's very good.
Yeah, you can't tell. The good thing about doing these podcasts like this is you can't tell it, but I actually have my shirt tail untucked. So
that's okay. I'm not wearing pants.
Okay, good.
Yes, he is, fortunately.
We have Phil Crone joining us in the studio today. I asked him to hang around because if Bruce tries to tell me something that's not right, Phil will correct him. So,
Or the two of us can correct Alex.
yeah, right. Well, hey, that
Phil?
doesn't happen often. So, Mr. Graff, how is your business going? Are you getting more phone calls than you were, say, a few months ago, or how's your
it's
business?
going well. It's just exactly what you described earlier. I am getting called. In fact, I had to turn down a big job yesterday. A designer contacted me and said, "I've got a job I really want you to look at." And I said, "I hate to do this, but I can't. I'm going to have to turn it down. Please remember me later." But I just simply don't have the manpower to do it. I am struggling right now with the manpower, and because I lost my two main guys because of the COVID thing, and they bought into the fear enough that they just basically, one of them retired and said, "I'm just going to go ahead and retire because I don't want to get out there in public." And the other one isn't old enough to retire. He just decided he's not getting out in the public. He's not leaving the house. And so that's it. I lost my two main guys. And so now I need to replace them. And so if you guys know of anybody, I need a seasoned carpenter. I need a well-seasoned guy that can help me watch over my jobs and get things done.
What I'll call you later. It just depends on the pay, and
Yeah, right.
I need some pretty good bennies. I can't just I can't just do this $10 an hour
I got to get
thing.
my business built back up
Yeah.
for that one. But yeah, no, I'm getting busy. I've got jobs coming, and I'm trying to not turn them down because we've all been there where we didn't have jobs coming.
Yes.
And so
Yeah.
that makes you afraid to turn down work when it comes. Luckily, the type of jobs that we do, the level of work that we all do, once it goes into the pipeline for design, that kind of slows it down for us. It's in the designer's hand for a while, and that buys us some time. And that's kind of where I am on several jobs right now.
It's interesting because Phil and I were referring back to '08 and 06 and the pre years to the Great Recession or Depression, whatever you want to call it. Excuse me. And I could do 8 or 10 projects at a time, and was doing that many. We were really cranking them out. Right now, I'm with you, Bruce. I'm doing one right now,
Yeah.
and I'm going to look at another one, and that would be all I could do. You're right. There's a little bit of a fear factor because we don't feel like we have control over so much of our business right now.
Right. Yeah, and we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. And all of a sudden, people start calling us and saying, "You know what? I'm giving it a second thought. Maybe I'll need to hold off." It's our job, Alex, and you guys. All of us that are self-employed, that have been contracted for years, we're pretty darn good at working through these problems and figuring things out on the fly, if you know what I mean. And in this case, it's help, getting helpers, getting tradesmen out there. Luckily, my subs are still intact. I still have all of my subcontractors. They're still good to go. They're still doing my work. It's my main guys that I need there doing the carpentry, the tear out, and stuff like that. That's where I'm hurting right now.
Phil, what are your members, and I know Bruce is one of them, what are your members experiencing along this same line with the COVID and their like hourly type people?
Really similar to what Bruce just described, that the subcontractor base is intact, but at the same time, they're kind of on that fence of, do I hire a bunch of construction managers and try to expand to meet the demand that I think I see right now, not knowing what the trajectory for them, I shared some good stuff for the market, but for them personally is going to be over the next few months or maybe the next couple of years. And so a lot of them will just default to, here's what I can handle myself. Here's what my name's on the company I can do just on my own, whether that's 3 or 4 homes a year, and they stay there, and that's the safe play. Others are more ambitious, but that's kind of the conversation I'm having when I'm
Well,
hearing from people like
after
Bruce.
the recession, Bruce, I know I just kind of like pulled in all of my stuff, like Phil's saying, and took control. I had to just kind of get rid of everybody and say, okay, I'm just going to do what I can handle, what I can supervise, and what I can control. Is that sort of what you're doing, or being
Well,
kind
that's
of
kind of
forced
what
to
I've
do?
always done. Now there are certain things now that my guys would have been doing that my trade subs can step in and do a little bit more to help me out, to do some of the stuff that the other guys were doing. Some of this stuff I've gone back to doing myself. The things I have done all my life, that I thought I'd reached a point where I didn't have to put on my work apron and my nail pouch and go back to work, and now I'm having to, in order to get things to a point where I can let my tile setter, my electrician, my plumber have it, things like that. But the problem with that, and I'll tell you, I actually enjoy the hands-on because I grew up doing it, and I like getting back in there and doing it. And I know it's done right because I'm doing it. The problem with that is that if I'm on the job all day long working with my subs and all this, then I'm not out there working on my bids for the other jobs, and I'm not out there working on getting materials together and things like that. So that's why I need a guy that knows his stuff, so I can turn it back over, get a superintendent for my jobs now, so I can get back to doing the administrative part of it.
Well, and they're not as easy to find anymore as they used to be, because there's not as many people coming up. That's a job where you have to have a lot of experience. You have to come up through the ranks.
Oh yeah.
You have to understand the nuts and bolts. You really have to understand how to do it. Now, Phil and I have talked briefly about the trade schools and the trade school programs that the Dallas Builders Association is working with local community colleges with. Phil, are they able to produce that type of person in those programs?
As best they can with the time frame for those programs, and that's the advantage. Like Collin College, for example, the curriculum that by and large our association, our members, were able to contribute to is, here's what you need to know. Here is how you can be as ready as you can be in a 2 or now a 4-year degree. And they're a good candidate, but there's no substitute for experience on the job. They get a little bit of it in the summer, but they're much further along than a lot of different programs or a lot of different people that may be entering the industry.
Well, I've done 2 projects this year that are the result of me coming in and redoing, and one a super big redo of a poorly run project by inexperienced people. Bruce, I don't know if people are calling you to come fix things that other people did wrong. I'm hesitant to take those.
I haven't had any of that right now. It's just people that have gotten fed up living in their house, looking at it for 8 months to a year, staring at the walls and saying, we need something to make us brighten it up in here and to make us feel good. But back to what Phil was saying, I actually just hired a young man from the Collin County College. I contacted them, and they put me in touch with a guy that they believed would be a good fit for me. And the main thing you have to do is you have to make sure that these guys, and I know that you guys have run through this. I've hired guys in the past that didn't know a lot, but I thought, I'm going to go ahead. I can teach you and bring you up, kind of be a mentor type situation, and bring you up and teach you, and you can go on and hopefully become seasoned eventually. And everything I taught them that day drained out in their pillow overnight. And the next day I have to reteach them all of it again. And the reality of it is that I'm not slamming people. Everybody is different. But some people just simply can't think the way we do and do what we do. It sounds like what we do is so easy, and it's just not. And if you know what I mean, some people just, their brain doesn't think this way. And that's the hard part, is finding people that you can teach and they get it. They understand exactly, this is why we're putting this stud here. This is why the soap niche is going to be this big, or whatever, so that they can think on their own. Hopefully I have found a young man that I can mentor. He's not going to be my seasoned guy. I still need a really good carpenter to run things, but this is a guy that I can still bring up through and teach him, and I think he's going to be good.
Well, so much of what you're talking about is seriously just experience. I mean, somebody didn't turn the phone off. Who's that? Anyway, okay, here's what I was going to say. So much of that for Bruce, for people like you and I, who grew up with a hammer in one hand and a tape measure in the other hand and a bologna sandwich in our back pocket.
Yeah. And the broom, and your broom is attached to your belt loop so you can drag it around.
That's right. That's right. And, these are things that are just sort of embedded in our brain. We understand how things work. We built houses. I don't know about you, but I built houses where I did everything from the foundation through the shingles, and including the insulation, the sheetrock, the wiring.
I've done everything. I used to do everything myself. I built the cabinets. I did the electrical, the plumbing, the tile, the painting, the demo, until I started getting busy and realized. And see, here's the thing: is you think that. My thought was, if I can do as much of this as possible myself, I can make a whole lot more money. And that never happened.
No, not anymore.
Eventually, I learned that I needed to let those other guys that were great at tile, let them do that. You know what? I'll go ahead and get the painter going, because while he's doing that, I can be doing this. And that's how I built my business on my own after I left. I grew up working for my dad. When I went out on my own, that's it's School of Hard Knocks,
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what we all learn eventually in business, is how to manage.
It's that whole adage of working in the business versus working on the business. And you've got to juggle it all.
That's right. So, what are your expectations for going forward in 2021, Mr. Graff? Are you just going to kind of maintain? I know you've got to deal with your help situation, but how are you feeling? Are you feeling like things are going to kind of stay steady for us? Or
yeah, I feel pretty good about it, because honestly, I would have expected by now, if things were going to go south, they would have. And because listen, we live in a really strange world today. I don't know if y'all picked up on that or not, but what is up is down, what is left is right, and so on. It's just the weirdest thing in the world. But I've got people contacting me, people through all of this nonsense have made money and are willing to spend it.
Yeah.
And it's every day I will get a text, an email, or phone call from a designer or a homeowner saying, man, I want to talk to you. I've got a job. I need a big project. I need you to do. And it's not, let's come in and paint my bathroom. It's I need to do the bathroom, and I need to do 2 bathrooms and a kitchen or something like that. And I'm both excited and terrified at the same time when I see that, when I read that, because I know I'm excited. Oh, good. Business is still going. and I don't have anybody to help me with this.
Yeah,
So-
yeah. No, well, and some people would say that's a good problem to have, but it's a very frustrating problem to have. We really appreciate you coming on and spending time with us this morning. It's really
I can't believe
been
it's
fun.
over.
Huh?
This was like a great ride at the fair, and now I hate that it was so fast.
Time flies when you're having fun, right?
Yeah, that's it. Bruce Graff with Graff Developments. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
It's really great talking to you and helping us with our Regional Remodelers Report. Take care, my friend. We'll see you soon. Thank you.
Adios.